Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to look at a fascinating ancient text that actually serves as a living, diagnostic mirror for the current condition of the church today. We are looking at Revelation chapters 2 and 3, and specifically the letters written to the 7 churches of Asia Minor. Now, it is incredibly easy to look at ancient history and think it belongs strictly in the past. But as we unpack this today, you're going to see how deeply and honestly, how shockingly, these ancient letters reflect the very real struggles we are facing right now.
Right off the bat, we see this repeated emphatic phrase from Jesus to these congregations. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He doesn't just point out their historical problems and move on. He tells them exactly what needs to change. And because of this phrase, we know for a fact these messages aren't just trapped in antiquity. They are direct warnings and profound encouragements designed for our own hearts today.
And this brilliantly illustrates our roadmap for this explainer. What we're looking at here shows, at a glance, how each of these ancient churches perfectly reflects a specific modern struggle. It's like a giant puzzle where the pieces from the 1st century fit seamlessly into the 21st. Let's break these down.
Section 1. Routine, hardship, and compromise.
First up is Ephesus. Now on paper, they were doing all the right things, right? Working hard, enduring incredibly difficult circumstances, holding solid doctrine, and staying faithful to the truth. But Jesus had one serious, heartbreaking complaint. They had left their first love. Think about how relevant that is. Today, a Christian can do all the right things. You can go to church every Sunday, you can argue theology perfectly, serve in ministry, and be so focused on being right, all while your love for Christ grows completely cold. It's a stark reminder for us, never let religious routine replace a genuine relationship.
Then we have Smyrna, and it's so interesting, Jesus didn't condemn this church at all. On the outside, they were experiencing massive struggles. We're talking poverty, tribulation, real rejection. But Jesus tells them, hey, you are actually incredibly wealthy on the inside. For Christians today facing modern hardships, whether it's financial ruin, a devastating sickness, or just deep loneliness, Smyrna serves as this amazing comfort. It proves that suffering absolutely does not mean God has abandoned you. Your external circumstances simply do not determine your internal spiritual wealth.
Our third church, Pergamos, highlights what might just be the biggest danger facing the church today, and that is compromise. The pressure today usually isn't culture yelling in our faces, "Stop believing in Jesus." Instead, it's culture whispering, "Believe in Jesus? Sure, but live however you want." It's that slow, steady pressure telling you morality is outdated or that you shouldn't take sin so seriously. Contrast that with the biblical standard from Romans 12, "Be not conformed to this world." Pergamos reminds us that you don't have to outright reject Christ to become compromised. You just have to slowly allow the world to change your standards.
Section 2. Toleration, deadness, and faithfulness. Now, what's really interesting about this is Thyatira actually had amazing qualities. They had love, faith, patience, service. But Jesus called them out for tolerating what he called the Jezebel problem, essentially tolerating clear destructive sin within the community. Notice the massive contrast here. There is a huge difference between a sinner coming into a church seeking Jesus and a church deciding that sin simply doesn't matter anymore. True love requires telling the truth. I mean, a loving parent doesn't tell a child it's okay to destroy their life, right? We need both truth and love. You just can't have one without the other.
This brings us to Sardis, which honestly carries perhaps the most frightening message for the modern church. Today, the appearance of life looks like beautiful buildings, huge crowds, great music, a perfectly polished social media presence, and excellent programs. Everyone thought Sardis was totally alive. Historically, the city of Sardis was this impenetrable fortress, but it fell because its guards literally fell asleep on duty. Jesus looked past their impressive exterior and saw that exact same spiritual deadness. God is absolutely not impressed by how successful or religious a modern church looks on the outside if it is actually dying on the inside. He looks at the heart.
After that heavy warning of Sardis, Philadelphia provides an incredible breath of fresh air. Jesus didn't say this church was powerful or highly influential. He actually noted that they only had a little strength. Yet they kept his word. This is such an encouraging relief for the modern believer today who might feel like they aren't a great speaker, or they don't have a massive platform, or they're just one ordinary person. Jesus doesn't demand fame or huge influence from you. You don't need great strength to serve a great God. You just need faithfulness.
Section 3. The lukewarm modern church.
The disconnect here with Laodicea is absolutely terrifying. They viewed themselves as thriving, wealthy, and needing absolutely nothing. But Jesus gave a completely different diagnosis. He called them wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. Historically, Laodicea had to pipe in its water from miles away, so by the time it arrived, it was famously lukewarm, just exactly like their faith. They had totally mistook material comfort for spiritual health.
And honestly, isn't that exactly where we find ourselves today? We live in a society entirely obsessed with things like money, possessions, cars, the latest technology, careers, success, and above all else, comfort. It is so ridiculously easy for contemporary believers to fall right into the Laodicean trap, where we acquire everything materially, yet remain completely and totally empty spiritually.
So the crucial point is this subtle but incredibly dangerous modern shift. Comfortable Christianity slowly changes our core prayer. Instead of saying, God, use me, which, actually requires devotion and spiritual utility, we just sit back in our comfortable lives and say, God, bless me. Faith becomes entirely about personal enhancement and getting more stuff, rather than a genuine, radical devotion to the Creator.
Section 4. Examining our own hearts. Let's shift our focus and see how this builds a mirror for each of us individually.
Ask yourself honestly right now, am I Ephesus? Has your faith devolved into mere religious routine? Are you doing all the right Christian things, but if you really look inside, your heart has grown cold?
Am I Smyrna? When life gets incredibly hard, when a diagnosis is bad, or the finances completely dry up, are you ready to just throw in the towel and give up? Or are you trusting that your spiritual wealth is secure regardless of your circumstances?
Am I Pergamos? Have you slowly, perhaps without even noticing it day by day, let modern culture rewrite your moral standards to make things a little more comfortable and a little less controversial?
Am I Thyatira? Are you confusing genuine, loving grace with the dangerous acceptance of clear sin in your life or in your church community?
Am I Sardis? Let's just pierce right through the illusion of social media Christianity for a second. Does your outward appearance, your highly curated public religious face, actually match your private, inward reality?
Am I Philadelphia? Are you staying the course day in and day out, faithfully following Him even when you feel entirely inadequate, unseen, or uninfluential? And finally, am I Laodicea? This is the ultimate modern danger. Have your comfort, your wealth, and your own self-sufficiency made your actual, daily need for God feel entirely obsolete?
The overarching message to all 7 of these ancient churches, and to all of us living today, is that Jesus corrects us because He loves us. He's looking for people who will listen, who will repent, and remain completely devoted to Him. Even to the most lukewarm church, He still offers restoration. As Revelation 3:20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." He is still knocking today, offering profound grace and truth to anyone willing to listen. So the only question left to ask yourself is, will you actually open the door?